Okay, here's the kicker. Get this. Saudi Arabia is having a comedy festival this month. Really? Saudi Arabia. It's gonna be great. If you die on stage, you get 72 virgin.
The awakened left's assault on free speech has gotten out of hand, and their latest moves show that they have no plans to back down anytime soon. Dave Chappelle is here with his unabashed delivery and razor-sharp wit.
Chappelle is performing. If you told me years ago that Saudi Arabia would be cool to have Dave Chappelle speak, and England might arrest him, I would have said, "What are you smoking?"
He stunned the audience by scathingly mocking the ridiculousness of the movement. This was no small critique. It was a total takedown, so there was no room for misinterpretation. The impact was evident and the intensity was immense, like a fire burning everything it comes into contact with. There's more to this than just conversation, so get ready. It's real.
But that's the great irony. Flag burning is free speech, and free speech is one of the key things that makes America great. So now that I have you on my side on that issue, don't be a hypocrite and defend attacks on speech from the left, because you either get the concept or you don't. And sadly, a lot of people don't anymore.
Bill Maher takes aim at the absurdity with his signature razor-edged humor. The left loves to champion free speech as if it's a sacred treasure, until someone says something that pushes their comfort zone. Then suddenly, outrage becomes a weapon of censorship. Inside their carefully curated echo chamber, every opinion is sanitized and approved. But step an inch outside that boundary and you're instantly branded a bigot, a threat, or something worse. Maher slices through that hypocrisy with clever, unapologetic comedy, reminding everyone that free speech isn't a partisan perk, it's a universal right. And yes, it even belongs to those who prefer to speak from the shadows.
It's bad enough that Trump is attacking free speech from the right, throwing the Associated Press out of the press pool, calling reporters enemy of the people, threatening and suing networks simply because he doesn't like the coverage. This country can't become that. But it also can't become what the UK is now, a place where you get arrested for tweets, something that happens 12,000 times a year now in Britain. Last week, the Irish sitcom writer Graham Linehan, who's won an Emmy and 5 BAFTA awards, got off a plane at Heathrow and got arrested by 5 British cops. Not because he was selling drones to the Houthis, just because he's a crank who spends way too much time online ranting about gender ideology.
On this one, I'm having to bid Ma farewell once more. The freedom to express oneself is not unconditional. It has limits, and with good reason. Examining the Associated Press is worthwhile. Their refusal to acknowledge the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of the United States resulted to their expulsion. It was more than a thoughtless error. The insult to patriotism was deliberate. And there's the notorious 60 Minutes fiasco.
Which is an odd obsession for a comedian from across the pond, because if men weren't allowed to dress as women, British comedy wouldn't exist. There'd be absolutely nothing left of Shakespeare but the sonnets, and Monty Python movies would be 20 seconds long.
The right to free expression is not a unique privilege bestowed upon a select few. By birth, everyone is entitled to it. It is the cornerstone of liberty, a line that can't be destroyed by the government or a vindictive mob. When we give up and allow anyone to decide who may speak and who cannot, we are not upholding democracy. One block at a time, we're taking it apart.
But in the words of that great Brit, Ricky Gervais, if you don't believe in a person's right to say things that you might find grossly offensive, then you don't believe in freedom of speech. You shouldn't have to eat your words at the airport. The chicken Alfredo on the flight was bad enough.
Simply because you disagree with someone's viewpoint does not give you the moral authority to silence them. The ability of a free society to accept ideas that make people shudder, or even shudder, is the real test of that society. The right answer is not cancellation. There is conflict. Outsmart them. We argue about them. Outshine them. Instead of strict uniformity, free nations thrive on a contest of opinions. If you suppress dissent, you are only planting the seeds of dictatorship. Thus, freedom of expression is not a luxury, but a necessity.
Linehan may be crude, but there's plenty of non-crazy people, liberal people, who think the left has gone a little mad with trans issues. Some have expressed that opinion with literary sophistication, like J.K. Rowling. Some by getting big laughs, like Dave Chappelle. And some are downright ugly about it, like Linehan. But ugly Is the price of a freedom so great as...
Many people have faced serious backlash simply for questioning aspects of the modern gender debate. These days, even respectful disagreement can be treated like a crime, often with severe consequences. The public figures Donald Trump mentioned only highlight this reality. Some lost jobs, sponsorships, or entire careers. Others faced online harassment, threats, or legal trouble, all for expressing views that didn't fit the approved narrative. That's not freedom. It's pressure disguised as principle. When society punishes people for voicing uncomfortable truths, that isn't progress. It's control dressed up as compassion. And anyone who truly values liberty should be alarmed by how quickly honest discussion is being silenced.
Trump tried to disappear someone for writing an anti-Israel op-ed in a student newspaper, which I found offensive, but I still would go to the mat for that person to be able to print it. And we can fight Trump on this because we have a First Amendment. England does not. And the fact that they don't, that's not a feature, that's a bug. And it's a bug that's going around Europe now. In Germany, a guy called a politician a Pimmel, which is the German word for dick, and it triggered a police raid. What a Pimmel move.
This moment serves as a powerful reminder of how fortunate we are to live in a country like the United States, and why protecting free speech isn't just important, it's essential. In many parts of the world, speaking out against authority can cost you your freedom or even your life. Here, we still have the right to question, debate, and share ideas openly. But that right is fragile. The greatest threats to it often come not from outside, but from within. When certain groups claim the authority to decide who gets to speak and what opinions are acceptable, that isn't freedom, but it's control. Every person deserves the chance to express their thoughts, even if what they say stirs discomfort or sparks controversy. If someone breaks the law, they should be held accountable. But silencing someone just for having an opinion is never the answer. Free expression is the very foundation of liberty. And once that foundation crumbles, rebuilding it becomes nearly impossible.
A guy from North Yorkshire in Britain faced 2 years in prison for wearing a Halloween costume depicting the terrorist who bombed the Ariana Grande concert. Bad taste? Yeah, bad taste is the whole point of Halloween. This Scottish man was found guilty of hate speech for a YouTube video where he taught his pug to salute when he said Sieg Heil.
Sieg Heil. Sieg Heil.
Elon Musk watched it and said, I don't see it.
I remember how Elon Musk's alleged salute sparked a lot of commotion in the media and online. Social media feeds erupted in rage, pundits leaped, and headlines screamed. But this is the primary difference between America and much of the rest of the world. The police did not show up at his door. Musk was not arrested or imprisoned as a result of his disrespectful gesture. Instead, he faced opposition, rebuttal, and a lot of blowback, as any public figure in a free society should anticipate. And that is exactly how it is intended to work. Free speech gives you the ability to act or talk. It lets others challenge you as well. However, it does not make unpopular speech illegal. Those episodes made clear why speech, especially those which we find objectionable, must be protected in America.
Kanye, this dog, they're all wrong, and they all have the right to be wrong. Britain is now considering the so-called pub law. Okay, it's not just about pubs. It's a workplace bill aimed at preventing any kind of harassment in the workplace, including verbal remarks overheard. Okay, problem is a pub is a workplace. So is a bookstore. Would a major chain like Waterstones risk hosting a book signing by a controversial author like J.K. Rowling? And pubs? People go to pubs for two reasons: to drink and to exercise their inalienable right to talk.
I believe Britain is edging dangerously close to crisis as it continues to surrender to ideological pressure and restrict free expression. In some ways, it has surpassed America, and not for the better. There seems to be little awareness of how destructive this growing repression can become, and when it finally backfires, the consequences will be severe. What's most alarming is that it's no longer just about what you post online. A single remark that someone deems offensive can now turn your workplace into a monitoring zone where you might be reported, questioned, or even detained for saying the wrong thing. That isn't democracy in action. It's the slow creep of authoritarian control. And here's the irony. None of this speech policing actually protects anyone. Its real purpose is to satisfy a small, perpetually outraged minority obsessed with moral grandstanding. If Britain doesn't put an end to this culture of fear, it won't just silence disagreement. It will erase the very freedoms that once defined the nation.
They're not in the House of Lords. They're in a bar called the Drunken Fuck. Any Brit will tell you the food is awful, the weather sucks, but at least you can call each other a cunt. And now that's gone? It's like making a rule at the dog park. No sniffing.
Bill is entirely right. Eliminating the right to free speech is the same as taking away a right that God has given us, like life. Governments and cultural gatekeepers do not provide or restrict the right to free expression. It is fundamental to what it means to be human. No organization has the authority to dictate who can speak and what can be said, regardless of how powerful or loud they are. The moment one side seizes the microphone and silences the others, the essence of liberty is destroyed. If a society just tolerates authorized speech, it isn't free. It's under control. History is also quite clear. The loss of free speech is immediately followed by the loss of all other freedoms. This is the reason that the freedom to speak, debate, question, and even offend is unquestionable. It is essential to democracy. Without it, we wouldn't be citizens. We are subjects. Protecting it is mandatory. It's a survival issue.
Okay, here's the kicker. Get this. Saudi Arabia is having a comedy festival this month. Really? Saudi Arabia. It's gonna be great. If you die on stage, you get 72 virgins. Chappelle is performing. If you told me years ago that Saudi Arabia would be cool to have Dave Chappelle speak and England might arrest him, I would have said, what are you?
Even countries once infamous for silencing dissent are beginning to recognize the value of open expression, or at least easing some of their strict controls. Take Saudi Arabia, for example. Not long ago, speaking out against authority could mean disappearing into a prison cell, or worse. Fear and silence were tools of control, but things are shifting. The very nation once defined by its censorship is now welcoming some of America's most outspoken comedians, performers who make their living by poking fun at power, questioning traditions, and turning social taboos into punchlines. It's a remarkable transformation. While Saudi Arabia still has a long road ahead before it can claim true freedom of expression, the fact that it's hosting entertainers known for irreverence shows how far the idea has spread. And that raises a question. If former hardline regimes are taking steps toward openness, why are Western democracies moving backward into restriction? Free speech isn't a privilege for a select few. It's the foundation of liberty itself. Once elites, governments, or angry mobs decide who's allowed to speak, genuine freedom begins to crumble. If nations that once feared open voices are learning to embrace them, then failing to defend that same right in free societies isn't just hypocrisy, it's surrender. That wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to tap like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.